Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar, How to Deal with Complex Roofs with Vectorworks. You may find that the standard Vectorworks roof will not make the roof you want. The roof object in Vectorworks works along specific rules, also known as algorithms. This means that there will be times when you cannot create a roof you want. How can you go around that? Well, that is what you will find out today in this webinar. Today's webinar presenter, Jonathan Pickup, is an architect trained in New Zealand and in the UK. With more than 30 years of experience, he has been writing and producing Vectorworks manuals and providing customer support for more than 15 years. His company, ArchonCAD, is the premier provider of third-party manuals and training resources for Vectorworks. He also runs the Vectorworks Online User Group and provides its main direction. You should check it out, by the way. Let me tell you a little bit about Novedge now. Novedge is one of the largest online stores for design software. And we offer a great assortment of software solutions for every designer's needs. So come check us out at novedge.com. And for more daily software news and promotions, you can also find us on Facebook, Google+, Twitter. Coming up next week, FEA-driven design of load-carrying structural parts. Last but not least, today's webinar is free and is being recorded. So if you want to rewatch this or any webinar episode in our collection, just head on over to the Novedge YouTube and Vimeo channels. And now, Jonathan, this is your time to shine. So I will make you the presenter and I'll try to be quiet and observing.
Thank you very much, Barbara. I really should get you to change the time that I've been teaching Vectorworks, because it must be 20 years now I've been doing this.
Okay,
so anyway,
I'll write that down.
We're going to talk about complex roofs today. So what I've got on my screen at the moment, I'm going to use this as an aid memoir so that I make sure I cover everything, but this is actually from my subscription website. So every month I create a new manual, and last month it happened to be complex roofs. So we're going to talk about complex roofs. But before we really get into making a roof, I really wanted to talk about how we control roof setting out, because I think roof setting out is fundamental to getting an understanding of how your roofs got their heights and how we get them to sit together. So when we do a roof setting out, when we create our roof, it has a bearing height. Now, this might just be personal, but I always measure the bearing height of my roof from the floor that it's sitting on. So if I go into a building and I look at the roof, I go, oh, that wall's sitting on the wall, it's 2.4 meters, it's 8 feet, or it's 10 feet, whatever it is. But I always think about measuring that from the floor. And that just might be me. But I think that that's also the way that the contractors think about it. That the Vectorworks recommended way of doing it seems to be that you build a layer for the floor and a layer for the roof. That means that if the roof layer starts at the top of the wall, then the bearing height for that roof is measured from the top of the wall. So if your walls are already 8 feet and you want your roof at 8 feet, the bearing height of your roof will now be 0, which is really okay, I suppose, but it's a little weird, and it means that you've got to do a little bit of mental arithmetic whenever you go to look at your complex roof and you go, this part's 8 feet, this part's 7 feet. No. Now the layer is at 8 feet, so the 7 foot must be minus 1 foot, and the 10 foot roof must be plus 2 feet. And you've got to keep track of all this mental arithmetic. It just drives me nuts. So I can't handle that. So what I do when I set up my layers, I set up my roof layer so it's sitting exactly at the same height as my floor layer, the same elevation. And what this means is that when I go to have a complex roof, and I've got some parts at 8 feet and some parts at 7 feet, it's easy to remember because they're all connected or they're all set out from the same floor elevation. How do we handle a 2-story building? Well, what I do is I have a roof for the lower floor, and that's set out from or has the same elevation as floor 1. So my roof 1 and floor 1 have the same elevation. Floor 2 and roof 2 have the same elevation, which means it's really easy for me to remember the bearing height of my roof because it's set out at the same elevation as my floor. Now, that might be personal, but it's made it so much easier for me. I worked on a project once where we had 3 or 4 different roof elevations, and I just could not stand, or I could not keep track of where all the roofs were until I started using the system. And once I used the system, it was just so much easier. So that's my first suggestion. So we're going to look at some simple roofs, and then we'll go and have a look, see how we can edit them. Now, if you have a question while we're working through, please write your question into the question box. I've got the question box open on my other screen. Hopefully I'll be able to see it while I'm in the flow of working in Vectorworks, and I'll be able to answer your question. So please don't leave your questions till the end. I'd like you to, if you can, to bring your questions up when I'm doing it so that I can stop and go back over whatever needs to be covered. So we're going to start by creating standard Vectorworks roof. I got Vectorworks here, and I've got some walls, and I could select all my walls using the Select Similar tool, which will select all the objects that have got the same. Here I've got object. I could choose object and class. That'll still select all the same things. But I'd also like to show you another trick. Under the Edit menu, there's an option to select connected objects. I've added this to my right mouse click. So when I right click, I can select connected objects, which I'm in the wrong workspace now. Let's just change to my workspace. I've got my own customized workspace. And so on the right click, I added the select connected objects. I'm not going to go through how to add it, but it should be there now. So there, select connected objects, selects all the walls that are connected together. Remember that the walls have to be connected together in order for Vectorworks to make a proper roof. If your walls are not connected, it doesn't form a network, and Vectorworks won't create your roof for you. So let's make a simple roof. AEC on the menu bar, and we'll choose Create Roof. What kind of eave would we like? We can have a square edge, a vertical edge, a horizontal, which I don't think I've ever used, and a double one. So a double will create the top part here, and it will create the underside as well. Let's have a look at the vertical. No, the square I used to like using, but you'll actually see a double line on the edge. You'll see that edge and that line as well. So let's go vertical. So the thickness, 150, the bearing inset, so my roof is going to sit inside here. And we're going to look at the roof pitch. I'm going to make that 25 degrees, the bearing height. And in this case, the bearing height, again, is measured from the setting out of my floor. And it's actually measured the height of the walls. So Vectorworks has already figured out that I've used walls. That was the bearing height of the height of the walls, and that's what it's going to use. So I'm going to have an eave overhang of 2 feet, 600 millimeters. I should really put this roof on its own layer, so it's out of the way when I don't want it, and I should retain the original objects. And there's my roof. Nice simple roof, easy to deal with. And we're going to create this roof a few times so that we can look at different ways of creating it. Now I'm just going to make sure I've got my aid memoir up so that I make sure I cover it in time. So I'm going to put that on my other screen so I can scroll through and cover what I want. So let's go back to my start. So the other thing I can do, let's say for example we didn't want this part of the roof to be cut out. So maybe I can create a couple of rectangles, select them both, add them together, and then create a roof from that. So create roof. Again, it's vertical. Now this time it didn't measure the bearing height because there are no walls. So it's 3 meters, overhang. Let's put on the same layer as before, and okay. So the first thing is if you wanted to, if you're having trouble with creating your roof, maybe one of the easy things to do is to go to the plan and actually draw polygons instead of drawing, or instead of using the walls, just use the polygon. So I'm just having a look to see what we want to do next. We're going to have a look at editing our roof. So when I select a roof with the selection tool, you'll notice I've got blue handles at the center of each roof face. And I can click on one of those and I can make that one a gable. Cool. I can click on this one, make that one a gable. click on that one and make that one a gable as well. So that's the first thing, is we can simplify our roof and make those gables. So let's delete, before I delete that, I suppose I should show you this one. I don't use this one very often, the Dutch hip. I call that a Dutch gable. So the overhang here, we're going to make that 16 inches, the inset about 5 feet, and the pitch is 25 degrees, and let's go OK. So that's one way of creating one of those other roof types. Someone's asked me if I'm going to create a mansard roof. I wasn't going to. James, you were asking if I'm going to cover a mansard roof. I wasn't going to, because I was, well, maybe James, if I just explain, because the mansard roof's got 2 roof pitches, hasn't it? So it's got a steep part and then a shallow part. And you have to create that as 2 different roofs. But maybe I want to show you the trick with how to cut a hole in a roof. James, you can see how you could actually create the 2 different roofs using those 2 different parts. So let's delete that. So we've done that simple part. Let me go back and I'm going to create my roof from a polygon again. Create my roof from the walls, I better. So let's go and select my connected walls. So select connected objects. I want to make the roof again. This time I want to see if I can break it. Let's create my roof, vertical. I want it to go on that one, and OK. So I'm going to make that one into a gable. This one into a gable. Now on a Windows machine, if I hit the letter G with that dialog box open, it'll go gable. On a Macintosh, you've got to go Control G for that to work. Now, yesterday I had a bit of trouble just here when I made that one a gable, and then I made this one a gable. Yeah, now it's failed. And I don't know if I can make this one to a gable as well. And it comes back. Now, yesterday I tried that, and it didn't seem to want to do that for me. So the first thing I wanted to show you was that you can carry on. So if you get that error message about the roof disappearing, you can just carry on. So I'm going to get rid of that roof, and I'm going to start again with just doing a simple mono-pitch roof. So this time I'm going to draw a rectangle from here to here, and another one from there to there. I'm going to make these into roofs individually. So one of the strategies with the roof is to break it up into small chunks. Break up the roof into chunks and then deal with each part of the roof separately. So let's go create roof, vertical, it's going on that roof there, and the bearing height 3 meters. And the roof pitches, I think yesterday we did it 8 degrees. So when I look at that, it's a very shallow roof, so I'm going to create that one. That's a gable. This one's a gable, and this one's a gable. So that's a mono pitch roof. Let's go back to the plan view here. We want to make that one into a roof. I don't need that rectangle anymore. AEC, we're going to create the roof. And this time we're not going to retain the original objects. And the bearing height was 8 feet or 2,400 millimeters. Only this time I want this to be 1 in 10. So you can type, instead of giving the roof pitch and angles, you can do rise over run. So I want that to be a gable, and you might have noticed that I forgot to put the correct layer, so it's on the wrong layer. So this overhang 0, this overhang here, we want that to be the same, that's a gable, and this one here is a gable as well. And we'll just pop that onto our roof layer. So when we have a look at our roof, we've got those 2 roof faces. Just in case people don't know that you can select all the walls, select connected objects again, we're going to go to AEC, we can go fit walls to objects, and we can constrain the tops. Let's do that again. I didn't even pay attention to that. Fit walls to objects, constrains roof on roof 1 is what I really wanted. And there we are. And there is a wall missing through here. So I'm going to draw that wall in. I'm just going to make a copy of a wall that's already there. So I'm just using my Control plus Alt key, click, and I want the wall to go from there to there. So that looks a bit weird because the roof, that wall is going the full height. No, I want the top to be there, but I want the bottom to be the same height as there and there. I'm going to double click on my wall, and then I'm just going to stretch that up so it hits that corner, and this one as well. Stretch that up till it hits that corner. And now when I turn the roof, it should be all nicely joined together. Don't forget to put that wall on a separate class so that it doesn't show up in your floor plans. Otherwise it will. So we've done that part. Let's have a look at creating that again, but this time I want to use a roof face to do it. So back to my roof, I'm going to get rid of that one and that one. So I thought that using the standard roof was quite easy because you can do the eave overhang. Whereas if you start using rectangles to create that monopitch roof, then you've got to use your offset tool and you've got to manually change that. So I've got to manually offset that. I create another rectangle, undo that. I create another rectangle here from this corner down to here, but now I can't see the corner. Hold down the B key. Now I've got to go back and offset that. But when I offset it, it offsets all sides, which means this edge here has to be pulled back in. I can't see it, so B key and pull that back in. And now I can use my roof face. So AEC, roof face. So its axis Z is, what do we make it? We made it 3 meters. The angle was 8 degrees. And I have to find the edge of my building. Again, the B key. So from the outside to there, or if I wanted to use the inside, hit the delete key so you go back. And let's do that again. Roof face. So from there, yeah. So we need to find the inside of our building, there, down to there. And which way does the roof go up? It goes up that way. Now select the next one, AEC. I'm going to create another roof face. This time it's a rise over run, and it was 1 in 10, 8 feet, or 2,400 millimeters. Find the inside face, and if it's hard, you can hit the Z key first, and then hold down the B key. And so that should be the same roof that we had before. Visually, this is wrong. I should maybe have done that one first. Right click, send to front. So you can bring that to the front so you can see it. So I've still got my wall there. So the roof face can be used to create the kinds of roofs that you might be struggling with. Let's get rid of those 2 roofs. I don't need that wall there anymore. Let's get rid of that wall. I'm going to select all my connected objects and I'm going to remove their peaks. So delete wall peaks. I'm going to delete all of them, tops and bottoms, put all my walls back. I should have left those selected. So this time we're going to make a roof. It's vertical, roof pitch 25 degrees. And it's going on start roof 1, retain original objects. I often forget that after changing it, and then I end up, where are my walls? So there's my roof. So I want this one to be a gable. And then I'm going to extend that gable out by around about 10 feet, 12 feet maybe, 12 feet. So if I go back to the downstairs floor plan, we've got a situation here. Maybe we want to have some sort of chimney sitting here. I'll just make sure I get that in the center. Is that the center? Maybe just check that again. So grab it from there. There's the little notch. It's now centered. So I'm going to cut, let's say for example, that's my a chimney that comes up through there, so I'm just going to copy that, Control C, I'm going to extrude it, and we'll make it about, so we need to make that about 6 meters high probably. So when we look at that in 3D, there's my chimney coming up. What I need to do is to cut a hole in my roof. So let's have a look at my roof. If I go paste in place, it should paste my rectangle exactly in the same location where I cut it from. Paste in place. If I select that and my roof, I can go right click and choose clip surface. And when I do that, it cuts a hole in my roof, which should exactly match my chimney that comes up through it. So the other thing I'd like to do is a rectangle through here, and I need to see my floor because I need to get the edge of my wall. So I want to have a pergola or exposed rafters if you prefer, and I want them to be about 16 inches apart, so 450 apart. I want to move that along a little bit because I want to have one on the end, and I want to have a series of those. So let's do move by points. We're going to move from here to there. I'm going to select all of those and my roof. Right click and clip surface. And so what it's done is create a series of rafters for my roof. If I select that roof and then go modify and edit group, I can see the original shapes used to create all my roof, all my holes. So if I draw another rectangle through here, and that rectangle wants to be about 104 inches. And what I'm going to do with that is line that up with the center of my roof. So I want to find the center of this edge here, line that up with the center of my roof. I want that to go all the way through there, and I'd like to use that to clip these and to break them up. Now I could use the clip tool, I suppose. So let's go clip surface and delete and exit. So now what I've got is a series of rafters with a ridge beam. How do you make an opening for a roof window that's not a vertical cut? If you really want to make an opening for a roof window, why not put a skylight in? And then you can choose some of the options. And don't forget that you can still choose the eave cut, and I think when I set up the roof, I thought I had the option for changing the not having a vertical cut there. But certainly if you want to put a skylight in, that would be the answer. So how do we heal this up? Again, we're going to edit the roof. Modify, edit group. There's all my rectangles just in here. If I go back to a plan view, you can see them. I just select all of them, delete them, exit my group, and the roof is healed. And if I turn off the floor below, you can see there's my holes come back, or my hole has been healed. So I've done that. And the next thing I wanted to do, so let's see what we can do here. So there's a couple of things we can do with editing this. I'm going to start by making that a gable, and then make that one a gable. I don't know if the order is important for the way I do these in Vectorworks and whether that causes things to vanish, but I tend to try to be real careful about how I get rid of the gables. Let's get rid of that gable. Yeah, so it failed. And let's make that one there a gable as well. Hopefully it comes back. So this time it didn't come back. The previous time I did it, it actually came back. So what I'm going to do now is I've got this roof. Vectorworks won't create the roof that I want. There's something wrong with my gables. But I wonder whether there's other things I can do with it. So if I have a look at the reshape tool, now you'll notice when I click on the reshape tool, it actually makes or brings up the blue handles at each corner as well. So I can move a handle, I can move an edge, I can add vertices, and I can delete them. If I delete that vertex, Now, if it doesn't find it for you in 2D, try going to a 3D view using the minus mode there to delete that vertex. And suddenly, the roof recreates. If I go back to a plan view, I'm going to delete that one as well. And so I've been able to delete those two parts of the roof. It's reformed the roof. So have a look to see if that would be part of the solution. So someone was asking about a mansard roof. So what we'd have to do is to create two different roof parts. And what we want to do is to be able to cut a big hole in this roof. And the way that I would do that would be to have a look at floor 2, which has got an upstairs. I'm going to create a rectangle from there to there. So that wants to be my rectangle. This is going to become a hole. Let's cut that. We'll go back down to my roof there. Paste in place, which is Control plus Alt plus V. I use this a lot. Control, paste in place. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of those and clip surface. So James, maybe the way to create a mansard roof is to create two roofs and just make a giant hole in one of them. Let's turn some of those on. So we've got that floor, we've got that floor, we've got that floor, and what we really need now is a roof on top. I don't think I've got a roof for that. So I could select those walls there, select connected objects, and then I can make a roof on top of those. So that's some of the stuff that I wanted to cover. So that, yeah, I've covered that. And we've talked about moving those handles around. So I didn't see anyone had, so I've answered some of these questions. I've answered how do you heal it. So a gambrel roof style, Jake, is that the same as the mansard roof? It's not a term I'm familiar with. So let's move on. So what I'd like to do is look at how do we deal with a more complex issue, like a barn. Yeah, so yeah, okay, Jake, so it'd be the same as what I said to James. You'll need to make it in two parts. The steeper part is one roof style, and the shallower part of the roof is another roof, and you just have to cut them. But you might also find that using a roof face is the easiest way to do it. Start roof 3. Let's have a look at roof 3. So here's my project here. Now I've got a problem here. I've got an existing building. I'll just highlight the existing building. So that's my existing building there. And then I've got a proposed extension down here and another proposed extension there. That's my challenge. So I'm just going to send these to the back because I want these. And send to back. So what if I use my select connected objects? Let's have a look. Let's have a look, see what kind of roof I can make. So let's create a roof. Vertical. It's going on start roof 3. And it's main, 25 degrees. Okay. So that's my roof. So I can go here and I can say, okay, you're a gable. And you're a gable at this end. And you're a gable at that end. Yeah, but it's not quite what I wanted. Because I really wanted this to be a bit lower. I wanted this one here to be an eave, but instead of being at that varying height, I really wanted it to be 2400. And I wanted this one to be the same. 2400. And so that drops it down. It actually does a nice job of that. If you have a look here, you'll see that it does a really nice job of dropping that roof down and actually bringing the underside of this roof up underneath your existing roof. The problem is that I haven't got here the gable that I wanted. I really wanted a gable end here, but Vectorworks won't do that. So the solution is to use these rectangles and to create the roof in bits. Someone's asked, can a roof object can be converted into roof faces? so the connect combine tools can be used? Yes, it can. I haven't shown you that. I'll show you that now if you like. Let's go back. So there's my roof. So what I can do with this roof is I can go modify and ungroup. Are you sure you want to do this? Well, I think I know what I'm doing, so let's go yes. And now you'll find that it's broken this roof into individual roof faces. And you could, if you want to, start to make the changes you wanted. But the problem, William, is if I wanted this to be a gable at this end, how do I do it? If I go right click and I choose edit, there's my original shape, so I could double click. I could use my tools here to extend that out, or I could be sort of lazy and I could just draw a rectangle there and add those together. And that does one end of the roof for me. And let's have a look at this one. Let's do this one. We'll double click on that one. And maybe if I see the other areas, I could just use my rectangle tool and I could just go like that. Add those together. Exit my roof, which is fine, except how do I fix this one and this one? Because they must sort of overlap somehow. You know, what do I do with those bits? So let's delete all my roof faces and we'll build Vectorworks roofs. So we're going to start there, create roof. It's vertical, bearing height 3 meters, and that one. And we'll go back to that one there. I've got to do these individually. Create roof, vertical, 3 meters again, overhang, put on the correct layer. Okay, and now back to this one. Correct roof, the correct layer, 3 meters. No, this one was 2400, wasn't it? I'll make it 27 because it's a little bit better. Okay, so there we are. So this one wanted to have a gable at that end, so a gable there. And I'm just using the keyboard shortcut, the letter G, to make that a gable. This one, I'm going to make that one into a gable. And I'm also going to change the color of that. Make it red. And this one, I'm going to make it red as well. So let's edit that one. That was a gable at that end. Now the gable at this end, I want that gable to be longer. I want it to go right into this part of the roof. So I'm going to make that a gable with a 3 meter eaves, or a 3 meter gable. So there, it's got 3 meters, gable, okay. Now it's really important that you actually make sure that these go far enough into that roof. I'll show you in side view so I can explain it. We're going to calculate how this ridge passes into this roof plane here, and the same on this side. So therefore, we have to make sure that that ridge actually projects into the other roof. I suppose if you didn't want to worry about chopping up the roofs, there's a simple solution. But of course, it would be totally unrealistic if you wanted to count areas. Let's go back to these, and we'll look at these in plan view. So I've got all of those in plan view. And I'm going to go modify, convert, copy 2 lines. I like this trick. Not all CAD software does this, but it will give me the exact intersection of these roofs. Headline rendering, and there it is. So let's edit that group, modify, edit group. And you can see there, those are my parts. So this is where the small roof comes into here, and this is how this bigger roof cuts in. So all I need to do now is I can use my trick with removing polygons from my roofs, but I need to have something that gives me the right shape. I'm going to use my polygon tool with the paint pot mode. So I'm going to click on that roof face. It's not actually a roof face. And then hold the shift key down to click on that one. Click on this roof area, shift key, that one. Click there, shift, click there. I need those, so I'm going to cut those and exit my group. So there's my building there, there's my group, it's done its job. So let's go paste in place. Control Option V. So I'm going to cut that again. That roof, that polygon, and that polygon. So I want those two polygons to cut out this roof. Right click, clip surface, and delete. Now this roof. Paste in place again, select that polygon and that roof, right click, clip surface. Select that polygon again and this one, right click, clip surface, and then delete. So what I should have done is to cut out my roofs. It should have cut out all the parts of the roofs that I need so that they join together perfectly. And I thought that was a pretty cool trick, that you can get this, convert copy to lines, so that we'll actually figure out exactly where they join together. So for a really complex roof, what about using that technique to get it to cut out perfectly? So if you're doing a mansard roof or a barn roof, you can use this technique to cut some of these out. So I quite like that, because it means you can just draw simple roofs and then slice and dice them so that they line up with each other. So that's my complex roof with solving the problem with 3 standard roofs. Now we've looked at editing with the reshape tool, because that's also in my notes. And now I want to put it into practice. So I've got a roof down here. I think this one is my roof. There's my floor. It's an old New Zealand villa. And it's been made out in bits. So there's a lower bit here and there's other bits here. So let's go right click and we're going to select connected objects and we're going to make a roof out of that. And this roof won't be anything like I want. Let's create our roof. So 3 meters vertical, we're going to put that on our roof layer and retainer objects, cool. So this is not what I wanted. It's got too many bits, it's got bits where I didn't want them. What do? Reshape tool. I can now start going to the reshape tool and saying, I don't want to see that bit. I don't want to see that bit. I don't want to see that bit. Oh no, can't do that. So let's go undo for that, because maybe I want to get, actually I do want to get rid of that bit. And eventually you are going to have this problem. So what I'm going to do is change to a 3D view, because then I can start to see these things. Now I found in 2D they sometimes vanish, but if you go back to the 3D, sometimes you can get them to show up. Okay, so I got that part, and over here there's a whole bits I don't want. A whole lot of bits I don't want. I don't want that bit. I don't want that bit. I need to go back to the plan view, because I need to be a bit careful about where my plan is. I need my floor and my B key. Okay, so that was what I wanted. So I need to pull this bit here, so that comes out to that face. This bit lines up with that face. So I'm just holding the B key down so I get everything to line up. This face here comes out and lines with the outside of that column. Yep, that's fine, I expected that. And now I want to get rid of some of the bits that I don't want. So I want to pull this face here down. Of course, I can't see it now because it's gone odd like that. So in 3D, I'm going to remove that part and that part. And now it says, well, I kind of can make it. So what I need to do is I need to pull this face here down, because that came down to this point here. And I need to move one of those across. So it's gone strange because I pulled that one over. So why don't I just delete them and I'll just put in the ones that I want. So let's get rid of that. Back to a plan view. And let's have a look here with the B key. So I want to add a vertex. So I can just click on the add button here. I've got the add button on my a reshape tool. So click there. I want to be in line with that point there. And I want to be in line with that point. That's the roof I wanted there. I want to move this one. Comes back to that point there. So that's pretty much the roof that I wanted. I think I must have made a mistake with my setting out because there's a slight angle there. And back to my selection tool. So that point there should be a gable. This one here should have been a gable. But this roof face here, or this part of the roof, it's still an eave, but it's only 8 feet high. Let's make it 2,700, make it 9 feet high. And this one here was also only 2,700. And so Vectorworks is now doing much more the roof that I want. So you can start with a roof that, it just doesn't look at all like it, and then you can gradually modify it and convert it. So what about the bit at the back? I'm going to hide the roof there. Quick way to make it, I can't use connected walls because it just won't work that way because those don't connect enough. And I'm just going to draw over with my rectangle tool, add those together. So here, what are we going to do? Well, this has got a slight overhang maybe, so we need to offset that a little bit, probably only 6 inches. But when I do that, don't forget, I've also offset the front edge here. So we might need to pull that back to there. And then I'm going to use AEC, and we're going to use roof face to do that. So 2,400, it's actually really low, this one. 2,200, rise over run, where's my exterior wall? So use the internal corner there, going up. And now let's put that on the correct layer. No, it's not bad. There is an intersect, they do intersect at some point here. And what you might be able to do is to use the trick that I used before where you can calculate where they cut out and subtract one from the other. So how are we getting on? We've still got a little bit of time, so let me just have a look through the questions. So what are we going to say? A soffit extension on the gable end where the bottom of the soffit is the height of the top wall. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question about the soffit extension on the gable end where the bottom of the soffit is the height of the top of wall, but it's flat, i.e. the underside of the roof at the soffit is not gabled like the top of the roof. I'd need to see a picture, I think, to understand that. Maybe we can have a quick look at, I'm not sure if I've got any skylights. I wasn't planning on doing skylights, but since people have asked me, I'm just going to do a quick search and see if there's any skylights. Oh, there's one. Okay, so I've got a skylight object. Let's see if we can stick that on a roof. Better make sure I'm on my roof layer. And drag that to my roof. So you need to drag it from the resource browser, drop it on the roof, and it straight away becomes a dormer window. When we select that, this little blue handle at the center here controls the dormer. So you click on that and it brings up these dormer settings. But I want that to be a skylight. And so it puts a skylight in. Now the skylight, you actually have control over what the splay at the bottom is doing. So at the moment, I think the splay is vertical. The whole cut is vertical. If I go splayed, you can see it in 3D there. It's going that way and it's coming down. And if I go square, then it should go square. So it's a square hole perpendicular to the plane of the roof. And if I want to get rid of it, click on that blue handle again and remove the object. So that was just a quick intro to the gable. The bottom of the eave is flat on the gable end. I'll have to do a simple roof and see if I can do that one. How are we getting on for time? It's probably time. So we did look at this, didn't we? We can convert that to roof faces. When creating a roof, would it be wise to use the thickness of the tiles only, then use the framing tool to create the rafters, joists, to make the sections easier? I think it depends on where you are in the design process. So at the early stage of concept design, I think it's easier to use the overall thickness of the roof complete along with the rafters. But don't forget, Flavio, if you're using the roof style, you can put classes into the roof style. And then you can turn off some of those components so you can see your rafters. So there's another roof that I'd like to create. So I've got another roof I would like to create. So this is the plan of my roof. I'd like to have a gable end at this end. I'd like to have a gable end here, a gable end there, a gable end there, and then over this part of the roof, I'd like to put a gable end here as well. If I use the Vectorworks tools, because I could just create all of that as a polygon, so I'm just going to create these and see if Vectorworks will create my roof for me. Vectorworks won't create this part of the gable just here. It just doesn't like it. And the reason it doesn't like it is because that point, and this point are what are known as collinear. They all line up. And Vectorworks won't create that little gable. You'll have to offset it a little bit. So let's have a look at how I would make this roof. Now I know this seems like it's quite laborious. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's just make this and see what Vectorworks does with it. If we go AEC, create roof, let's create our roof, axis Z 3 meters, and using an angle of 25 degrees. What did I do wrong? I used a roof face. I wanted a roof. So 25 degrees, 3 meters, and okay. And it can't create the roof. It's just too complex. And part of the problem is this area in here where I've got the soffit, the overhangs mesh with each other. And so you find then that it's hard to, let's get rid of that polygon. Where's my roof gone? There it is there. So if I select that roof face, I can make that a gable. And if I go eaves, entire roof with an overhang of 1 millimeter. So Vectorworks will do that, but it won't do this part in here. And if I want it to do that part, I need to go back to my offset, to my reshape tool, and then I can start to say, okay, let's add a handle there. And let's add another one in line with this one down here. And then I've got to add another one here. But now I want to pull those back so that they actually don't have that little offset. They don't stick out. And at that point, Vectorworks will then not do what I want. So I want to be in line with that. So that's not quite what I wanted. So we'll make that into a gable anyway. Because I want to bring that line back. There's a gable there. Now, as soon as I try to bring that line back, it should fail me. Let's move that back. And it won't do it. So let's get rid of that. So what's my solution? My solution, well, I'll tell you a quick way to do it would have been, if I knew where Vectorworks was going to fail, maybe the quick way was to create that as it was, without the changes. Let's leave it like that. And then break that up into roof faces. So I could go ungroup, make that into roof faces, and then all I need to do is to make this part of the roof in here. So I just need a polygon, I need to be able to see where it's going. So from there to there, and B key, so it wants to come to there and finish there. And make that into a roof face. So you see, so first of all, I'm going to cut that. I can make them to a roof face. So let's go roof face, 25 degrees, 3 meters. And I need to find that little line here, which I put in ahead of time, and the roof goes up. And then mirror that one so it's going the other way. And it's probably a rough estimate of what we wanted. But the other thing I was going to show you is that you can create the entire roof if you want using the same technique. So let me just select all my objects. And we'll start again. I thought it was reasonably quick to create a roof. If you wanted to do this, so you plan out the roof, you plan out where you want your gables, where you want your eaves, click, right click, and I've added roof face to my right click. So okay, and there's my line there. So we'll do that one, right click, and roof face. Okay, and I just need to find that line there. I'm going up that way. This one, roof face, and off we go. And Vectorworks, I don't know if you noticed, but Vectorworks is finding all those areas for me. It's flooding them for me, the roof face. I've also put little guidelines where I want the eave or the setting out to be. And so I thought, I know this is taking a lot longer than it takes to create a straight Vectorworks roof, but in some ways I'm getting exactly the shape that I want. I'm getting exactly the roof form that I want. And you might think, well, it's taking ages, but actually I've done quite a lot already, and it hasn't taken me that long. So someone's asking about the sophites. Let me just finish this roof off first, and then we'll go back and have a look at the soffit. So again, roof face, okay, and I've got my little guidelines there. So delete key. So I have to do that again. So roof face. Hold down the B key so I can see my guidelines. And so what you should notice is that when I'm using the polygon tool, I don't have to leave the polygon tool because I can right click. I can create that as a roof face. Hold down the B key, see where I want my guideline. Do this area here. Right click, roof face, where's my guideline? There it is there. That's the upside. This area here. Roof face, where's my guideline? And that one. I'm not sure, I actually have a feeling I made a mistake with the height of this one, but never mind. Let's go roof face. Okay, where's my guideline? There, going up, and we're done. And this one just needs to be mirrored. And so there's my roof. Exactly the roof I want. You could use the Connect Combine tool. You can use that to join roofs together. When you're doing your mansard roof, James, wasn't it? The mansard roof, James, you might want to use this mode here to join the two joins together, the two parts, because otherwise you'll find that the roofs don't join neatly. Otherwise they have this funny vertical cut. This one here does a really cool job of joining them together. So I think, Barbara, it's time to have a look through some of these questions if we've got time. I try not to use soffits. I haven't got time to look at all of those, the challenges with the soffits. I've done it previously where we've looked at soffits, attics, barge boards, ridge flashings, valley gutters, standard gutters, and I've looked at all my flashings. That's I call that roof accessories, and I haven't got time to cover that today. We've worked reasonably quickly, I think. So I'm sorry about that. I just can't cover everything in this short time.
That's okay. It's a lot of questions, and you've done a lot also to improvise and to come up with solutions for things that were not planned. So that was great. And wow, some tips and tricks, guys. So I think everybody is very happy today to take home some real hands-on protocols that they can adapt to their projects. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thanks a lot, Barbara. Thanks for having me. Just before I go, don't forget,
No.
we've got, this is my subscription site. I think it's really good value. Every month you get a new manual. There are special interest groups for architects. Those of you that asked about the roof accessories, hey, what if I covered it in a manual? We covered it a little while ago, didn't we, Larry? The roof accessories. And every month we've got these special interest groups for landscape, architect, 3D modeling, and getting started. So people that are getting started, we go through things really simply. And for those of you that are really doing well, the architect special interest group or the landmark ones or the 3D modeling, so that we can look at extending your knowledge. And every month, a little bit of knowledge over the year, you just learn so much.
Yeah, this is a very valuable deal. Very valuable. You'll, save time, and you'll get right to what you need, and your work will be so much easier. Thank you, Jonathan.
And then, of course,
yes,
there's my courses, Barbara.
Yep.
The modeling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me, Barbara.
No problem. Thank you. Actually, I'm just gonna say goodbye and thank everybody for attending today. And I want to remind everyone to visit Novedge, where you can find the entire line of Vectorworks products, and you can find us on all the social media, the usual suspects. Next week, this is our next webinar, FEA-driven design. And for everybody that want to rewatch this webinar, you can find the recording on our YouTube and Vimeo channels as early as later today. Thanks again for watching us today, and have a great rest of the evening. Bye-bye, everybody.